We'll see how this starts here. See if you can see me. How are you doing, my friends? It's, of course, Adult Beverage Friday. So I had my adult beverages. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting topic tonight. And just to give you a little bit of background as far as, what triggered the title. On my last video, which, by the way, isn't very popular. Which is kind of frustrating, and I'll explain in a second. But in my last video from yesterday, the a couple of people made a couple of comments. One called me right-wing propaganda. That's what one person said, and then the other person said, I guess I was referred to as a centrist, which I guess that makes sense. But this person was like implying that look at all the violent people on the right. Just that this moonshot CVE and Google, they're in the right direction. And then there's another person who actually said, well, just because you do not see the action being taken against the far left, it doesn't mean they're not doing it. They must be doing it. They're just not saying it. So it's like, some of these comments, guys, are like, they're really like out of this world. To be honest with you, I think these people are living in a different universe. I don't know. Are they seeing what I'm seeing? Let me just start with the basics here, my friends. Let me start with the basics. And welcome everyone. The basics is that I am not a political channel. I've made that very clear. Many people who follow me are from the left and from the right. And many times I've said that if anything, and I don't really subscribe to anything politically, but if anything, you can call me a libertarian. Although I don't really do that either, but I'm probably closer to that than anything else. And in some ways, I get comments from both the left and the right, which are like really strange. And one of the comments on the other side now, somebody made a comment in my video saying, "Well, you need to take Rob's comments. You need to take his comments more seriously." Because he's Asian. So, okay, so you understand the implications of that. So, because I'm Asian, you're going to make an assumption about what I believe because that's what you were told. So, anyway, there's a lot of craziness out there. And what you will find that you cannot predict what I think or what I believe in because you don't understand, and you cannot try to create groups and say, put me into this partition or that partition, because I understand that I don't believe in each political party. I do not. I think they're both the same. I think they're just playing to you in the same old way. For example, each side will say, well, we don't spy on you. And then each administration, both on the left and on the right, increase the surveillance. So who do you believe? Some of you are fans, for example, of Trump, and I said, okay, I wonder, because Trump is an outsider, would he do anything against the deep state to make sure we do not get surveilled? Of course, nothing really happens. No change. So I already knew that. It's not a big surprise to me. But don't make any assumptions about what I believe. But I'm going to make assumptions about what you guys believe, because some of you live in a different universe. What cohort am I? Probably all of them. Google probably assigns me to many. I think, yeah, I've pretty much created a browser isolation technique where I define my personality and belief for Google. So I'm very firm on that. So let's see, based on the ads I'm getting, I think they have a firm grasp of where I am, which is what I want them to think. So Bill Gates is Asian. So anyway, if you don't like what you're going to hear, the truth, then this is the time to think about why you're subscribed to me. You really need to think if you need to unsubscribe. If you don't believe in what I say, I don't know why you're following me. Why do you even listen to me if you don't believe in what I say? So some of the people are so happy for me to say, oh, big tech is doing this to you. Oh, big tech is screwing you. Oh, big tech is spying on you. Then I actually make a video that shows the actual detail. I make you a video that shows you the actual detail of what control big tech is doing. And unfortunately, they picked a side. So Google, Moonshot CVE, decided they're going to attack the right. And then they label them far right. So that's what they decided. They're going to attack that. So now I make that video, and immediately the left says, well, you're biased. You're biased. I did not make up the data, folks. The data is what it is. I showed you exactly what Moonshot did, and there is not one single approach or study or project that relates to the left. None. Not even to the centrist left. There was nothing left. Zero. Everything was to the right. And you're going to tell me, oh, I'm doing propaganda. Well, the fact of the matter is Google has a side. They have an image of what they want the world to be for whatever their benefit is. And so that's their side. So a lot of you didn't like it. So I'm like shocked. It's like, here I am actually telling you what the facts are, and you didn't like it because it leaned to be anti-right, and you did not believe that what I said about the fact that it's currently being pushed to be against the right. You didn't like that because you don't believe it. So then you're going to accuse me of being the propaganda guy. Well, because the data show what it showed. I don't know what to tell you. This person, one of the commenters, made a comment on the video and said, "Thank you, Addison A. Thank you." One of the persons in the video made a comment on the video saying all the violence has been on the right. This is what I believe it's a she. That's what she said. And then some guy said, of course there's violence on the left. And this lady said, prove it. And I was like, am I in a different universe? And this is why the brainwashing topic. This is the brainwashing topic. And I just want to ask this question. Okay. I understand why riots occur. I understand that. We'll get into that in a moment because, I should have more experience than some of you in other cities because I'm the one that's been in the riots. Some of you in some of these cities, if you're in Wisconsin, you may not have ever seen a riot. Well, I have. And if you actually see the riot, then you can make your own decisions about what is actually happening. I understand why riots start, but we'll get back to that. My question is, what is wrong with this individual to say, all I said was this in my video, I said violence comes from both the left and right extremes. That's all I said. Violence comes from the left and the right extremes. Extremists do that. Okay? So I didn't take a side and say, the right is more violent. Oh, the left is more violent. I didn't say that. You can judge that for yourself. You can judge that for yourself. Mostly peaceful protesters. Oh yes, Alex. Yes, that's. We're not counting numbers here, Alex. So are you saying that one side of protesters are not mostly peaceful? Is that what you're implying there? Are you saying that the left protesters are mostly peaceful and the one on the right are not peaceful? Be careful with what you say. I am not saying that at all. I am not saying that. I am saying violence occurs on the left and on the right. That's all I said. And to challenge me on that, you must be in a different universe, like I said. I don't know, how the universe split up that you you see it differently. And of course, I know exactly, and this is my fear. This is my fear. I told you in the video that Google and Moonshot CVE is actively changing the internet for a certain population, which in this case is the right, to make sure that you do not see what they don't want you to see, to make sure that everything that you see is tainted by an opinion that counters it, to minimize what is being said on the right. I already said that. That's in the video. That's what they're actually doing. Whether they're successful or not is a different question, but that's what they're trying to do. And again, to summarize what the video is talking about, and some of you really didn't get it. I'm sorry, my mistake then. If you didn't get it, then it's my fault. And what you didn't get is that I told you that Moonshot CVE is not just trying to find out who is on the left and on the right. The characteristics of their activity or their action plan is find the cohorts, understand, do test marketing, test the target, and intervene. And that's not something I mentioned in the video. I don't know how they intervene because they didn't discuss it. All I know, it's part of the plan to intervene. And let me just make sure we're clear on what that means. To intervene means to change the internet. That means for that population of people in the right, that they're going to change the internet. Okay? And how they classify you to be in one of these groups is if you search for certain words. That's it. If you search for certain words, you get classified as violent right wing. For example, one of the words is QAnon. If you search for QAnon, you will be categorized as violent right wing. Okay? Not just right wing, but violent right wing. Okay? And there's so many more categories of words. So, assuming that you get categorized, they change the internet for those people. So for those people who use Google, they're seeing a different internet than somebody else. And so that's what I thought. That's what I thought I was talking about only. And then when this person, obviously from the left, made a comment that all the violence is on the right, now I wonder if there's another activity now on the left. And I'm going to call this brainwashing. Is it possible, since we know what Google wants to pursue here, they have an image of the world that will be profitable for them, and their image currently leans to the left. It doesn't always have to, because it may lead to something different, fascist, this, that. Who knows? It's whatever is going to make them a profit. So the people on the left think that the Google's for them. Sorry, folks. Google's for Google. Moonshot CVE is for Moonshot CVE. They're doing this to make a profit. They're doing it just like with Facebook. They're doing this to make a profit, and they're playing with the people by manipulating your opinions. So my thinking is it possible that there's another side to this? And that is, if they know you're on the left, could they be screening the left so that you do not see any negative on the left? Is that possible? I know they're actively doing it on the right in a way to basically like the Bureau of Information, is it Department of Information or Bureau of Information in the book 1984? There's an actual department that changes history. So that's what they do in the book 1984. There was a department that changed history. So they were so successful that people actually forgot there was a war with X country, X region. They actually changed it so that now every mention of it was stricken from every part of the internet. So nobody actually knew that there was a war, especially if people die and all the old people died, and nobody knew that there was a war with another party which is now an ally. That's what 1984 did. So by having an active Bureau of Information, they changed the internet. Now this is in a theoretical book in 1984. Now the question is, could it be done on the left as well? Which means it's very simple. If I want you to think very positively about about your side, in this case the left, I will never display anything negative to you about the left. So it's this person who actually believed that there is no violence on the left ever, that's not equal to the violence on the right. And I'm not saying it's equal either. That's up to you to decide. I'm just saying, there was actually something of Ministry of Information or something. Ministry of Truth or something else. Or I forget now. Anyway, it could be Ministry of Truth. I don't remember now. But there was something that it was in charge of the news. So on the left, could it be that if your internet is so pristine that they make sure that nothing negative ever shows up on, once they know what you believe in, that nothing ever negative that shows up on that side, could that be what's happening? So let me just tell you, as a person who is very balanced, one of the things I do is I get all the information. Ministry of Disinformation, there you go. I think that's the one. Is it really, did they actually admit to calling it disinformation? I don't remember anymore. But what I remember from, no, I forgot what I was saying. But I'll get back to that thought when I remember it. But the issue is that could somebody actually believe that there actually was never any violence on the left? I mean, I don't know how you hide that, because I'm right here in LA, and I'm in the middle of it, and it actually happened that during the time of the Capitol riots, suddenly there is no mention of all the other riots in Los Angeles and Portland and Minneapolis and so on. There's no mention of that. It's like that disappeared. So suddenly it's all about the Capitol riots. The riots that happened here didn't happen. Let me tell you something else interesting. The riots, to me, any disruption, any violence is not good. So I don't care who's doing it. It's not good. So I understand why it's happening. We'll get into that. But during the riots in Washington D.C., the government was quick to identify, and they can identify anyone at a riot using geofencing with the phones and doing Wi-Fi triangulation and all of these different techniques I keep talking to you about. But none of that was done in LA or Portland. I can tell you right now, nobody did it. No one attempted to say who started the looting. Who was that guy that was on TV with a zucking what do you call the big sledgehammer? Somebody came in. This was on TV. Somebody came into Santa Monica, one of those stores, which were already boarded up. And this guy said, "Oh, I don't care if you're boarded up." He took a sledgehammer and destroyed even the boards that were covering up the business. That likely was also on the same side. Santa Monica is the most liberal area here in Southern California. So chances are that, even the people who own those stores, they're just small businesses, and they're likely also on the left, and they destroyed those businesses, burned some of them. You can see the fires on TV. I actually saw them. I mean, I drove by it. I saw all those faces of people looting. Surprisingly, the mix of people looting was, I thought would just be poor people, but not really. There were some Asians in there doing the looting, which surprised me as well. But it's kind of crazy. So you're saying to me that there's no violence on the left. So I don't know if somebody changed history. So I'm going to tell you something factual. So because people, forget and they change history. And again, we'll get into the reasons why this happens. But in the 90s, I was here in LA in the 90s. And what happened in LA? Well, Rodney King. Which is similar to the Floyd thing. Rodney King. Rodney King was beaten up by the police, and the and the police. During first trial, the police were acquitted, and the community went into a rampage and started burning up LA, and really burned up a big chunk of the part of LA I'm in, all the way to downtown. You can see, there was a very, very big anti-Asian feeling among the black community, because there was another trial because a Korean woman running a liquor store shot a black kid, I think, and then because the store was being robbed, and that went into this big backlash, and then suddenly you see on TV, and I was there, so I can see this. The Koreans then put armed Koreans on the roof of their buildings, guarding them with AR-15s and whatever to keep the looters out, because the looting was horrendous. There were fires. The buildings that were burned, some of them were, your typical Target and buildings like that, and some of them were just mom and pop liquor stores, and it got to the border of Beverly Hills. It never crossed Beverly Hills, but it got to the border of Beverly Hills. And somebody was telling me, oh, there's no violence. It's very scary back then, because I didn't have a way of protecting myself. I was still young, and you say, well, that didn't happen, and that's just one of many. I mean, there are many, many, many stories like this. So it's like, what is wrong with some of you that you do not want to learn about what's happening? Why do you trust your news from one source? Why do you go to CNN and say, oh, the CNN world must be accurate? Why are you only going to Fox News? Oh, the Fox News world must be accurate. If you actually watch, like I do, CNN and Fox News, you will feel like you are truly in two different universes. They're like completely different news. Completely different news. So it's good to get the insight of what one side thinks is important and what the other side thinks is important. I ignore both, by the way. I have to tell you, I ignore both. Both are just. It's almost like you could say both of them are propaganda. So, but it is interesting how people do not even want to get your own information. You don't want to even get your own information to validate data. You're going to say, oh, somebody told me that there is no violence on one side or the other. And it's like, what the zuck are you thinking about? What the zuck are you thinking about? Why don't you search for yourself? Do not use Google. Search for yourself and find out what the real facts are. And then judge for yourself. And maybe the world will be a little bit different. Before I continue, let me just interrupt this broadcast by telling you about this company called Linode. Now, I'm a Linode user. In fact, I have so many servers on Linode. I've lost count. I have many, many servers on Linode. And that's what I use for my cloud server provider. And they're experts at Linux. And they make it really, really easy to set up things. And I'm going to say easier than Amazon AWS, and certainly more support, much more support than you. In fact, I can't believe I got any support from Amazon AWS before. So, but on Linode, it's very easy. They are really, really helpful, and it's just a private company, and they have been doing an awfully great job. Plus the fact that they actually end up being cheaper. They are cheaper than Amazon AWS. So if you want to set up a cloud server, like I do, and you go to linode.com/Rob Braxman, they will actually give you $100 credit for up to 2 months of services on Linode. The services on Linode are very expensive. You can run a server, you can run a website, your own server, for as little as $5 a month. So it's a pretty good deal. So anyway, I just want to make sure that you know about Linode. They've been my sponsor for a long time, and I have very few sponsors. I don't know if you know that, because I only picked a very select group of companies that I believe in. So I myself use it, so that must be a sign that it must be good to use. So back to what I'm saying. So no one actually spends the time and energy to actually find information out for themselves, and so that results in the manipulated community that we see now, because the only source is Facebook. So basically, they don't even read the news. They just say, oh, what's in my Facebook timeline, which somebody's feeding them. And it's really, really crazy. So anyway, I'm actually wondering why my video, well, maybe I know why, but my last video is not popular. And it's shocking, because it's probably one of the big blockbuster pieces of information I've ever uncovered. The information in there is mind-boggling. It actually proves an actual attempt at manipulating the population. And in spite of what the one side of the population may ignore what I'm saying, the fact of the matter is that video shows that it actually is being done, and it's being done by people who think they know better. People that think they know better. So I'm looking at this, the CEO of Moonshot, and I'm like, I guess you know better. You really think you can manipulate people. Let me just talk to you about that part a moment, because it really does bug me. So the idea again of the redirect method, which is what we're talking about, this manipulation concept, is that they're going to find you, they're going to do focus group to test various approaches on you, and then they're going to see if they can influence your behavior. It's not working. It's not working. It is not working. One of the things that they're trying to do, supposedly, and the premise is so wrong, so that's why it's not going to work. One of the premises is that they're supposed to cut down on right-wing violence by trying to control your internet. By changing what you see on the internet, they're going to cause a reduction in right-wing violence. And now we come to the gist of, what I'm trying to say here, and that is, they don't understand why people riot. They don't understand why the people rioted because of BLM. They don't understand why people rioted because of the Capitol riots. Instead of trying to understand what is the root cause, they're saying, I know how to approach that. We're going to use the AI of the computers and change their internet. Because these people are so dumb. We're just going to, we're just going to do it like that. We're just going to change their internet. And we're going to convince them, as some of these players think that, they actually think that they're so smart that they know how the world is, that they understand that we, in some group, must be, classified in some way or the other, and a certain group of you have already been classified as violent right wing, even though you're probably centrist. You're probably centrist right, and you are going to be classified as violent right wing. And they wonder why people are getting angry. The reason people are getting angry is because they sense injustice. That is the same reason for BLM, for Floyd, for all of this. It's the same reason even during the years back with Rodney King. The reason is injustice. And you are not going to cover up injustice by faking the internet. You can do it after a while, like they did in China. They actually make sure the communist Chinese government looks pretty good because they've convinced the young people of that. So, but it builds resentment. The reason people are mad and they're using words of violence is not because they really want to be violent, but they're so angry because they're not being heard. Palantir is a completely different one. The Palantir is another evil company. This one is right-wing. Yeah, Palantir is a right-wing version. So, I don't know, guys. They're missing the point. They're missing the point. The actual approach to soften the environment and prevent this kind of polarity in the environment is because they don't let anyone zucking speak. They label anyone that speaks in a certain way and say, oh, you must be violent right wing. The people who, learn about some of the topics that are supposedly violent right wing start thinking, you know what? It's not violent right wing. In fact, it's not even talking about violence at all. So, but they're being classified as violent right wing. And then those people didn't get upset. And then they said, then they use words like, let's all love Google and so on. Let's love Facebook and Google. And I'm being facetious here because the algorithm will search every word I say and label me in a certain way. But yes, the people are detecting that there is a plot and they're sensing it and they don't like it and it makes them angry and it's injustice and they're feeling it, and because they're not allowed to speak, instead of Twitter, Facebook, and Google being successful with being able to end the polarity of our country, nobody listens to each other anymore. It's because of the approach of Twitter, Facebook, and Google. By trying to shut everyone down, they're actually making it worse. They're making people angry. Then they go to the other side and then alter their internet as well to make sure they don't know of any opposing views. So everyone is in an echo chamber. There's an echo chamber on each side. You're isolated, echo chambers, and there's no discourse, there is no debate. Debate would have eased the emotions, and by having a debate, then people will hear both sides, and they think we're so stupid that we cannot decide if somebody is a loony. So everyone that goes off shooting, doing mass shooting with any kind of gun must be a right-wing extremist. That's the way it's looked at. Well, because it is politically profitable to refer to every shooter as a right-wing extremist instead of labeling those shooters as loonies. They're loonies. I don't care if they're on the left or on the right. They're just loonies. They are not the population. They are not the community that you're trying to suppress and control with moonshot CVE and labeling as right-wing this, that, or what's it, violent right-wing. It doesn't make any sense. They are wrong because they don't understand people. They're using an AI to decide this, just like they're going to tell you what you should be worried about. They have decided what the most important issues are of the world and what are not. I'm going to tell you the number one issue in the world today is climate change. Nothing else is important. Okay? Nothing else. There's absolutely no issue, including your own freedom, That's more important, including the fact that they're controlling information. Oh, that's not important. The only important thing is climate change. And you don't think that's controlled? I mean, any sensible person knows there are other issues. There are other issues. This is not a society with a single issue. But no, they have the power to snuff out other content. Okay? They have the power to snuff out and say, okay, we believe this, so therefore this is the only issue that we will push, and everything else is not important. So I'm not going to get into the validity of some of these arguments. That's not important right now. What's important is the fact that no other argument of any other issue is allowed to bring up, like what they're doing to us, controlling our sucking information, is apparently not important enough, even though it's really equivalent to freedom. Thank you, Joe Bob. Thank you. I don't know. You shared the moonshot video, Joe Bob, but I'm telling you, the video is very unsuccessful. It makes no sense. I said in my prior videos, this is the precursor. This will lead to something I will talk about in the next video, and then I talked about it in the next video, and no one was interested. So now I'm curious. There's a lot more, and unfortunately, they're all kind of the same thing. There is an actual active attempt to change our internet in other areas other than Moonshot CVE. Moonshot CVE is just a redirect method. There are other methods, and they're all leading. So far, my findings are consistent that there's so much activity going on to change the internet for the population. And I'm not sure I will talk about it now because there's no interest. Okay? There's no interest. Oh yeah, there's the CCP doesn't have pollution. They don't. That's correct. Truth is not important here because you're being classified as right and left, and you actually believe that there's a right and left. And the actual problem is that it's about somebody's agenda. I don't know exactly what their agenda is, but they have an agenda, and their agenda is not your agenda. People actually think that they're supporting me because I'm on the left and I like what's being said, so therefore they're compatible with what I think. No, their agenda is not your agenda, but they're going to convince you that it is. They're going to convince you what it is. So look at me, guys. I'm a lot of you will unsubscribe to me. A lot of you will unsubscribe to me and say, thinking that I'm some right-wing propaganda. What did that person say? Called me right-wing propaganda. And I don't know what to tell you. I'm just telling you what is actually happening. It depends on the side. In the past, most of the control has been done by the right to control the left. This is, going all the way back to the McCarthy era. That's the way it's been in the past. Now, it's changed. Now, what exactly is happening here? Why did the BLM riots happen? Why did the Rodney King riots happen in LA back in the 90s? Why did it happen? And I told you the reason is people feel that they cannot express something, so they explode. If they can't express an emotion in a valid way, they explode, and it causes something more dangerous, like riots, which where you have a crowd of people going bonkers. This is the kind of thing that is being pushed by the Google, Twitter, Facebook approach by suppressing debate. They're just making one group right now, very, very angry. And because they're getting angrier and angrier, there's more polarity and it's going to go explode. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but that is not the way. They never did understand how people work. This is why I don't believe in any of this. I believe in free flow of information. I believe we are adults and we can judge when a loony is a loony. We can judge what somebody says is kind of our loony comments and real comments. I'm going to tell you. I'll give you an example here. Let's talk about somebody that many people don't want to talk about, and that's Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Personally, I think Alex Jones is a loony. I mean, some of the stuff that he says is totally tinfoil hat. I am not a tinfoil hat. I want to make that clear. However, strangely enough, a lot of what Alex Jones says is the same thing as what I say. Meaning, not everyone is what is the term? Ideas are not homogeneous. They're in that twisted brain of Alex Jones, there are some things that are correct. So not that everything that everyone says should be discounted. So some things are actually correct. So yes, I do believe that some of the stuff that he says is exactly what I say. And then some of them are completely kind of extreme loony ideas that have no basis in fact. And I think we are capable of understanding what is a valid idea and what is extreme. We don't need Google and Facebook and Twitter to tell us, because we are smart enough as a community to be able to judge what is real and what is not. You don't need to protect us. We can judge for ourselves. We can judge for ourselves. So I apparently just I don't know if you guys know James Corbett. Anybody knows who James Corbett is? Just asking. Does anybody know who James Corbett is? Because yes, he is labeled as tinfoil. Yeah. Negative. So James Corbett has a very big channel on YouTube and also one of the top people on Odyssey. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so he's one of these that just, it's kind of like an idea guy. He just talks ideas. Corbett, not Quebec. Anyway, I wonder what people will think, because he's interviewing me. He's interviewing me in a couple of weeks, so we're gonna do a podcast, and yeah, some people are already spelling it right there for you. He's interviewing me in a couple of weeks, so I wonder what they're gonna say, because I guess he kind of. He sounds to me like a libertarian type. That's what he sounds like to me. But he's being labeled in certain ways. So I don't know. His channel was removed. I see his channel on YouTube, still here. So just wondering. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like taking interviews from one side of the political spectrum. I don't. Corbett has just deplatformed today. Yeah, he was, goodness. So anyway, I have to be careful about being categorized in a certain way. He's interviewing me, so he asked to interview me, so I agreed to do it. So Alex Jones is not what you think. Oh, I understand what Alex Jones is. I mean, I've seen what he says, and some of it is not based on the difference between what I say and what Alex Jones says. Alex Jones would say, "Oh, the government is spying on you and whatever," and then offers no data to validate that. When is he ever given this kind of video I just did my last video, where it actually showed data like I do? Show the data. Don't just make a statement without any kind of backing. What he does, he takes the data that may be a fringe truth, and then he pushes it to one side and then turns into a strong opinion before actually getting all the facts. That's not what I do. I actually always try to get sufficient information to be able to judge if it's actually happening. So far, every time I've talked about what's happening with Google and the three-letter agencies and so on has been accurate, because I just don't jump into it without some sort of meaningful assessment if it's actually going to be done. For example, does the three-letter agencies spy on your email? Okay. And my answer is absolutely. I am certain that the three-letter agencies has a copy of all of your emails for the last 20 years at least. I am certain that is true. Now, are they able to still do it? I bet you that it's getting less and less now. They're getting less of it, but they had a lot of it. So, now why did I make that statement? Because there's actually some press articles that confirm what I said about how they do word searches and peering stations at AT&T. This is actually in an article. And it kind of like I'm looking for clues that what I'm saying is actually true. And then Snowden himself revealed it with the prison program and so on. So I look for something to back it technically. Can it be done? Can it be done? If it can be done, they will do it. Guaranteed. Okay? My email are boring. Oh, you think so? That email will tell them your political party, what you believe in, and then they'll pump you with email that will teach you the reverse. Come on. Your beer drinking is criminal. That alone is criminal right there. So I got to stop using the emails. So anyway, don't discount anyone. I don't care how extreme somebody is. The fact of the matter is, even an Alex Jones has some truth. Almost every side, there's truth. You just, not everything is true, but, you can't discount what somebody says because they may say some untruths. Can't we decide for ourselves? Okay, do I need to take whatever an Alex Jones says and says that's true? Why can't we come back and say, I know that's false? I think we're smart enough to know that. We don't need somebody from Google telling me, using Moonshot CVE, convincing me that it's false, because then I know it's fake. There was an article today. I'm just trying to. Just to give you something to do with the Republicans. So there was an article today that's on Firefox that said Republicans are now being anti-MSM. So now they're looking at this as a failing of Republicans, that, hey, look at all the Republicans, they're anti-MSM, mainstream media, without actually understanding why the Zuck are Republicans. anti-MSM. I mean, they don't even, the article, is like laying blame on a group of people without actually understanding why. Why? They have no perception that perhaps the people are not liking what they see. They're sensing that there's maybe a misbalance, and all you have to do is go CNN and Fox News and tell me if there's a misbalance or not. I'm going to tell you there is. The news on CNN and Fox News are completely like from two different countries. The news, they pick on completely different people to talk about, and they completely address completely different issues, and then they hide the rest, both of them. So you're telling me, why is MSM, why are Republicans supposedly anti-MSM? And they're actually trying to study this, and this is the big mystery. They can't figure it out. They can't figure it out. So isn't that pretty crazy? They can't figure out why they have to do, again, another kind of labeling. And now they're going to go, oh, okay, Moonshot CV is going to say, okay, Republicans are anti-MSM. We will do a project to tell them that MSM is correct. So now they're going to put a lie over a lie, and let's see how that works. Because fortunately, I've discovered something recently, and what I've discovered, folks, is that people are smarter than what I give them credit for. The majority of the people are in the middle. This is the reality of people that are not on the extreme. The majority of people are in the middle, and some are for some topics and not others. And some people are inconsistent because they are extreme and they follow their leaders without really thinking about it. I'll give you a very, very specific example. I'm a libertarian type, although, like I said, I'm not. I don't claim to be. I don't take the official title of libertarian, but if there's anything closest to what I believe in, it's libertarian. I just want to be left alone. So one of the things that is very interesting is that Trump pushed restrictive trade policies. And historically, in America, the right is the one that pushes for free trade, and the left pushes for, barriers to steal and all that, so protecting farmers, basically against free trade. So anti-free trade, historically, protectionism is the term. I studied economics, so this is a big thing with me. So I believe in free trade. I didn't like what Trump was doing with trade, because it had a negative impact on trade. I don't care if China wants to sell something cheap, they will suffer for it in the long run. If they want to sell to us cheap, sell it to us cheap. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. So you can sell something cheap as long as you sell it cheap and not expensive. But people hated Trump. So the communities, especially the black community and the poor people who actually benefited from, who actually before were on the side of protectionism, were against it because it's Trump. Trump was for protectionism, which is inconsistent with Republican beliefs. And I was surprised with, how do the blue collar workers now support free trade just because it's against what Trump was saying? How is that? Do you see the manipulation there? When historically, this is historical. Democrats have always been for protectionism, and Republicans have always been for free trade. And now it's inconsistent, and because it's Trump, you got to take the opposite side. So it's really strange, isn't it? And that's how society has been twisted now. You're basically having anger with a personality without actually any more connection to your original belief. The original belief of the Democrats of protectionism. That would be more consistent. The original belief of uh, the especially the poorer members of society was that they don't like immigration because immigration will bring more low-wage workers and steal the jobs from low-wage Americans. That used to be way back when, that used to be the big thing. And now, Pelosi said that you got to have Biden and Pelosi said you got to have free immigration wide open, not legal but even illegal. And suddenly nobody is starting to think who is actually being affected by that, and how do they convince a population of something that they will actually suffer from to go for it. It boggles the mind how they do this. I don't really care what your belief is. I'm thinking mostly of what each side believes in. How did they twist it around in the last election? In the last couple of elections? How did they twist that around in the last 4 years? Where the people who are diehard believers in one belief, they changed that because the leader said so. Whoever the leader is said this is the way, and suddenly the other side takes the opposite without actually thinking about it. They don't even think about it anymore. Everything is just forced down people's throats, and we are not allowed to think. If you're allowed to think, you'd actually find that some Democrats do not like some things that Biden is doing, and many Republicans may not like certain things that Trump did. That would be the nature of reality. That there's a mix. It's not all a global issue. There are things people agree with, things people disagree with if you go issue by issue. But that's not what's being presented. There are only two parties, so you choose one or the other, and whatever. This is the way. And what is that? How did the information get twisted to do that? That's what boggles the mind. I don't know. This is part of what I worry about. Have we been brainwashed? I mean, back in the 80s, I remember back when it was I'm so old, so, back with Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, and the issue seemed very clear. Ronald Reagan was for free trade and strong military and all that, and then Tip O'Neill was the workers, blue collar workers, and unions and protectionism. The standard things that the two parties agreed to disagree with over the years, and now they twisted it, and I don't know why the young people now believe something completely different from what the older generation believed. How did they do that? And that is the problem. That to me is manipulation. I don't know. That to me is manipulation. So it just shows you that it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, because I can twist your belief to fit whatever I want to say. So Trump said, I am for protectionism, and being one of the first Republicans to say I'm for protectionism. And the Republicans said, oh yeah, I'm for protectionism too. It's like, suck. When did that start? So it's on both sides. It's crazy. So basically, people have turn off their brain. They don't want to think anymore of what they really believe in. They just say, oh, well, such and such said so, so I guess I'm going to side with him, and, I don't challenge any of his ideas. So, instead of just, smart people will assess each topic and say, yep, I believe in that. What he said there, no, I don't agree with that. Well, why we're not allowed to do that anymore? Did you know that the way society is, the way that social media is, the way that the information is controlled? No, you're going to have to make stark choices. go with this party or that party. And as you can see, they can even manipulate what that party believes in. So the Democrat Party of today or the Republican Party of today doesn't even believe what the same Democrat Party or Republican Party believed in the 80s. What the zuck? How did they manage that? How did they flip that around? I guess it's happened in the past. Wasn't yeah, if I recall, it was Abraham Lincoln that was anti-slavery and Republican, and it was the Democrats of the day that were pro-slavery back. This is during Civil War, and they managed to change that. But I guess they're doing it again, and with using tools, using the internet, using manipulation, and you guys like go for it, and it's like, oh yeah, you don't listen to what anybody says on either side, because use your head, people. Use your head. Assess each one according to your actual belief, and wonder why you're being told to do something even though you're half baked on the idea. Why you're being told to do something. So I that's the problem with the control of information, and that's the problem why the parties to be that's controlling information, Google, Twitter, Facebook, cannot understand why they're seeing increases of what they call violent right wing. They're not seeing increases of violent right wing. They were just seeing angry people who will say words in anger. Because they're angry, because they feel like their freedoms are being curtailed and they don't have a way of fighting back. And this is the same community that's also feeling that information is being altered so that what we used to believe in is not what we believe in anymore. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. It's very sad where we are, truly. And I'm trying to look at this from the eyes of an outsider, not being a political scientist. I one of the reasons I don't like politics is because I can see through the lies on both sides. But worse, yes, I can see that Google and Facebook and Twitter are pushing an agenda so strongly that it's making me wonder, what is their real agenda? What's actually going on? And they don't understand what they're doing. So that's a problem. I think they think that Moonshot TV and all these approaches will actually win them the right idea. I don't think their focus groups are accurate enough, so they're not successful. One of the things that somebody did using Palantir now was do the Cambridge Analytica time with Facebook, where this was used by Republican candidates to get the personality of people and see if they can trick you with Palantir and Cambridge Analytica using Facebook data during the 2016 election. So that's what they were trying to do back then. And I don't think they were successful. They did try. I don't think they were successful. Yes, Trump did win that, but I don't think they were successful in itself with Cambridge Analytica. I don't think they truly understood the triggers yet, what could make people change opinions. And so they were experimenting. And the problem is that they don't have enough data, and what they're doing now is trying to manipulate us. It's getting obvious that we're being manipulated. And the outcome that they expect may not be the outcome. This is why I'm scared, because, well, I'm not really scared, but I'm just telling you that it's making people angry. And when people get angry, they get out on the streets, and then more mayhem occurs. And I don't want that. And that's going to happen because they don't allow debate. It should have been simple. Allow debate, allow us to judge who's a loony, you know, tell people he's a loony, but don't deplatform, don't do things like that, because what you're trying to do is just making people mad. Can you imagine deplatforming Parler? Now, Parler apparently was, a lot of Republicans were in Parler. I'm not on Parler. Never been on Parler. They deplatformed that and basically cut out basically a mainstream of the population. And they did it completely. They shut them down. Just like they did it with Gab. They shut them down. And they've done it before with many other parties. But the point is, they think that they can keep doing that. I don't know if Parler sucks or not, to be honest with you. Have no idea. Never been there. Never been to Parler. I have no comment on what the quality of Parler is. All I'm saying is a lot of people were on it and they shut it down, which then angers a big part of the community. And now they're going to say, we don't trust Google. No wonder my video on anti-Google became viral, and I don't even know why. It was a de-Googling video, and I said, why are people watching my video? I'm not saying anything here political. And the reason was people were angry and they reacted quickly, and they were so angry they wanted to do anything that was anti-Google as much as they can. It's crazy. So anyway, that's where I stand, and some of you may not like what I say because you're a true believer in whatever your side is. So I don't know. I'm trying to be open with you guys today, as open as I can be here with where I stand, so you understand exactly. I'm playing no tricks here. You are seeing exactly where I am, and not hiding anything. It's being pretty clear about my ideas, and if you don't understand that this manipulation should bother you, then I don't know why you're following my channel. I would assume that all of the ones in live chat here are the people who really are the heavy supporters. And I appreciate that so much. I thank you so much. But the rest will watch the replays, and many of them will unfollow me. I don't know why, but every time I do a live stream, I lose subscribers. I don't gain any subscribers. Every time I do a live stream, I lose subscribers. So I'm just preempting it. If you don't like what I'm saying, then you're in the wrong zucking channel. You're in the wrong zucking channel. Why are you following me? If you don't want to hear what Google's doing to you, why are you following me? Why are you subscribed here? If you don't want to know, you don't want to watch the video of the last video, which is one of the most important videos I've ever made, and nobody watched it. Well, not nobody, but it's not, it's not popular. And I'm like saying to myself, not only is it not popular, I can see people unsubscribe as they watch it. And it's like, I'm telling you what is going on, and you don't like it because it doesn't sound good to your political belief. That's really what it is. They don't like it because it doesn't follow what their political side is. Because some of you have just very strong agendas, and if it's not conforming to that, then there must be no other side. Okay, I'm not like that. Thank you, Laura Lay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am not like that. I am very open-minded. If I see untruth on each side, I'll tell you right up front. You're not going to find me sticking to one candidate or one person if I feel like they're saying something wrong. I'll go issue by issue. Some issues I'll agree with, some issues I may disagree with. So you scare people, I scare people. You don't want the truth. You want me to hide the truth? You want me to lie to you? So, and by the way, I don't. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really feel, or maybe I don't care. I don't really care about myself being, attacked for being Asian, which I'm always attacked for being Asian, always. Somebody reminded me today that yes, for 5 years, I was being attacked as being Asian on Periscope. And there were so many stupid jokes that I had to come up with and say, oh yeah, you want me to open my eyes because I can't come back from China? Stupid questions like that. Oh, stick an egg roll up my zazz. So I hear that all the time. And you know what? I don't react to it because, it's the stupidity of people. Stupidity of people. That small part of the population, I don't really react to. I'm not going to come here and say that in fact, Google, when I put the video bias, they actually popped systemic racial bias as one of the videos I'm supposed to watch. Yeah, so Google's trying to, already manipulate me in Google. Say systemic racial bias, and I'm sure that it's going to turn on to Asian bias and all this. And frankly, the reality is, in my life, I'm judged for what I am. I don't really feel like I'm judged for being Asian or non-Asian once they know me. Yeah, I am. That's a good point. I don't come in here and say I'm the victim. There was this Asian woman who went on TV and was in tears because of racial bias. She wasn't actually part of racial bias. She was becoming emotional because it wasn't TV. I think it was a government official from some state, and saying, "What about my grandparents?" And it's like all the bias, and it's like, I don't react to it. My attitude has been, if you think you're smarter than me, then prove it. Otherwise, then zuck you. So yeah, I'm not gonna act victimized and say I'm Asian and therefore you need to remove your systemic bias against me. And some are, but I'm going to convince you the right way, which is from ideas. So the person who made this comment to me, this is a comment made on one of the videos to that person. This person said this, that you should pay more attention to what I'm saying because it's coming from an Asian, which implies that, because I'm Asian, I'm supposed to fall into a certain line of politics and beliefs, and therefore what I'm talking about here is inconsistent. And here's the other side. Because I'm Asian, there are people who come into my channel without even watching the videos and saying, yeah, you CCP shitface or whatever they call me. They call me CCP, and it's like, do you actually watch my videos? Do you actually watch my videos? To call me CCP, some of you have been watching me for the last hour and 14 minutes, and am I really pro CCP? I mean, the stupidity of some of these people. Yes, that's a racial bias. I am certain, but no, I'm not going to be the victim. Not the victim. I am not going to be the victim. Guys, I am an American citizen. And I've been an American citizen longer than many of you have lived. Okay, and not only that, I truly believe in freedom in an American society, and I strongly believe that more than anyone else. Not more than anyone else, but more than anyone else would imagine. I would think, it's a very strong part of my DNA. You know, I believe in a constitution in ways that many people will not believe. I have never lived in a communist country, guys, and obviously I would hate that. But I have never lived in a communist country. I lived in a right-wing dictatorship. Right-wing dictatorship. The term right-wing there should be taken loosely because it's really just a dictatorship. I would even call it, what is right-wing in that? Right-wing, it implies some sort of, less government intervention, but that's not the case. So, you are, I'm Australian too. I've never been to Australia. I'd love to visit. I have lived in a communist country, Cuba. Different kind of experience, I'm sure. I guess they have not seen a shit face. So anyway, my thoughts are actually quite simple. It's really very basic. I think that you really should be allowed to speak, allowed to think, allowed to keep the government away from what you do. Disallow people from thinking that they're smarter than society. This is the idea of a technocrat society. There's a bunch of technocrats that have an idea in their brain of what the world should be, so they're going to fashion it in their idea without actually having a democratic vote to figure out if people actually like that. So I have one here in LA. My city council representative here has been doing things like that. He's been wanting to turn LA into basically a biking town. But the way LA is structured is big, spread out. Biking is not something that is realistic. But he's going to try it anyway. So he implemented things like road diet. So he basically stopped traffic for many, many months, caused traffic jams, because he said, we're going to turn this very, very busy street into a one-way lane, a one-way road, one-lane road each way. Because it's a road diet, because he fashioned that idea in his head, that's what he's going to do. That's the kind of people I hate, because it's not democratic. He didn't go ask people what they think in the community. No, he just decided that is what I'm going to do. So he decided to take the extra lane for cars and turn it into 2 bike lanes. So it took a lane and on each side put 2 bike lanes. The city complained. The population complained. So he finally pulled that out, and now it's back to 2 lanes, but there's only 1 bike lane. So there's the 2 lanes are smaller, and there's 1 bike lane. And on any given day, the bike lane is empty. On any given day, the chances of finding somebody on the bike lane are you're lucky to find 1 out of 10 times. You're lucky to find 1 person using the bike lane. Most of the time, the bikers don't even use the bike lane. They just use the regular lane and forget the bike lane. So that's what I'm talking about. People who have in their idea, this is what Google and Facebook and Twitter and Moonshot think, that they are smarter than you. They're smarter, so they're going to define you. They're not going to ask you your opinion. They're just going to tell you. That is our world now, guys. Some people have dictated that these are your issues. They're not going to let you. Why don't we just vote? I'm okay with that. If the population said, hey, we really need to expand the bike lanes, that is a really good idea, and they voted for it, I would say, hey, community voted for it, that's fine. That's fair. But when nobody votes, but you do it anyway just because you feel like it, and you set up some of these rules because that's what you think you want, then that to me is communism. That's what the communist society does. It's a planned economy. Some people don't actually understand what communism means. Communism is a planned economy. They tell you how many widgets to produce. They tell you how many sneakers to produce. They tell you how many jeans you make. They tell you how much potatoes you're going to make. Not the market doesn't decide what somebody's going to make. Somebody smarter up in the universe at CCP headquarters says, you are going to make this. Now, obviously, that failed. China doesn't do that anymore because it failed. Obviously, the Soviet Union failed. China is actually a free enterprise, mostly when it comes to the economy. The Chinese part of it is just in the mind control of the population. But they've actually changed. They're really just, capitalist from the rest of it. It's actually turned into a capitalist country. Except for the control of the population. And we don't actually even understand that. So, your vax is not a placebo. New York passed a bill to pay out $2.5 million to every non-USA citizen or legal don't pay taxes. Okay? If you all vote for it, then you can do anything. Don't ask me any technical questions. That is not a Navy cover. That is a yacht club cover. I'm a Commodore. I have a rank of Commodore. So that's my Commodore cap. My Commodore cover. Thank you, Jonathan. Don't sit on the fence. It's cowardly. I don't sit on the zucking fence, DN. I don't just believe in either side. You only vote for socialist ones. Whoever said, some of you think that I sit on the fence because I don't take a political side. No, absolutely not. No, you're missing the point. I don't believe in their side, either one. I don't believe. That is my side. Now, issue by issue, I'll say yes and no on an issue by issue basis. But in general, I don't. Yeah, we can agree to disagree on certain issues. But if you ask me, if I'm sitting on a fence, hell no, I'm not sitting on a fence. But the lines defining the fence is false. The lines are false. I just told you, I'm pro-free trade. So why are Republicans doing free trade? Why do Republicans follow Trump, who's protectionist, anti-free trade? Clinton was for free trade, and yet the Democrats wanted Clinton. So it's really about power. It doesn't matter what the ideas are. Because Clinton was actually pro-free trade. With Bill. I don't know about Hillary. Bill was. How old am I? Older than you, probably. So, who cares, Nigel? So yeah, it's issue by issue. You can call me out on certain issues, and I may tell you what I believe on certain issues, but that's me. It's not going to fall into your nice little categories of Republican, Democrat. It's not. This is why, of all people, I actually feel myself to be qualified to have friends on both the left and the right, because I respect why people think the way they do on the left and on the right, if they're authentic, if they're not being manipulated. The person who made a comment on my video that says, "Oh, there's no violence on the left," that person is not authentic. That's fake. That's definitely a manipulated individual. Somebody who understands that, yes, there are faults on all sides. If you understand that there's a fault on all sides, left or right, then you and I are going to have some more things to agree about. But if you are, only listening to what somebody tells you without using your brain, then you better unsubscribe now. You better unsubscribe, because you're in the wrong channel. Okay? You're in the wrong channel. I understand that a big majority of you came to my channel because of, when Parler was dropped, and a lot of you are probably Republican. Some proportion of you are. Some are not. Okay, so, but that's only currently. And depending on the video, I would have, if I had followers mostly from the Democrat side. So it depends. So I'm not going to qualify who's who. All I want to see if my side is to be left alone. Don't manipulate us. Don't do anything to trick us and collect our data and do all that. Leave us alone. That is my side. Oh, Australia. Oh my gosh. Australia. Australia is getting to be sad. What I'm seeing with I guess Australia wants to be the top surveillance state. They really want to be the top surveillance state. So very sad. It's very sad. Thank you, Jamie. Very sad. Anyone who thinks sides are the same as all I'm saying, guys, just pay attention to the issues. If anything that you learn from me today is always think about, is there a purpose to how the message is formulated? Can you think on your own and see if you are uncomfortable with an idea? Can you just think for yourself and say, I'm not that comfortable with that idea, even though it's espoused by somebody on my side. See, I'm not like that. I don't watch these senators and congressmen on TV and say, oh, he's on this side, so therefore he or she must be correct. No, most of the time I think they're incorrect. So think for yourself, people. Think for yourself. Do not be controlled. Do not have media control you. Don't have the internet control you. Make your own choices and make sure that you are protected. Watch that video. My goodness, I can't believe that so few people watched that video that I released yesterday. I can't believe that as the absolute proof of what's happening, and nobody is watching that video. So I'm running out of time. So thank you for spending the evening with me on this Friday night. And I am not sure I'd want to do videos like that for a while, because it's kind of draining on me to put so much of my energy into it. And it was a bombshell, and yet people did not react. It's a bombshell, and people didn't react. It's really sad. Really sad, guys. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in, I don't know what my video will be. I have to rethink now, because my lack of success with this one is really bothersome, because it's really, really important. Please share it then. Share the video. People need to see the reality of what's happening. I can't believe that a big chunk of you actually said, I don't want to believe that I'm being manipulated. because that's by not liking the video, that's what you're actually saying. I don't believe I'm being manipulated. So, which is really, really sad. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and that like button. That like button. We need to make sure that the algorithm shares this with others who are not subscribers of this channel. And I am sure I'll get many people unsubscribed on this video. I'm not going to worry about it. It's okay. You can unsubscribe, and I'm not going to get mad. Good night, guys. Thank you for being here.